Welcome to the Life Coach Lounge. I'm Angela.
I'm Lisa.
I'm Emily. We're three life coaches who found connection in faith, friendship, and purpose.
Get ready for real talk, relatable stories, and practical tips you can actually use.
We're so happy you're here at the Life Coach Lounge.
Hello and welcome, girls. How are you today?
Doing great. How are you, Angela?
I am so good. It is overcast today, but it's warm and humid, and I will take it. I love summer weather.
Lisa and I were just talking about that. Summer, where I think all three of us live in all three different states in the U.S. What did you say, Lisa? The three H's? One was humid.
H's. Hazy, hot, and humid.
Yes. I think that describes summer, where all three of us live in Michigan, New York, and Minnesota.
Yeah, we need
For
to
sure.
come up with something for winter. That doesn't sound as nice. So what have you girls been up to? How are you doing now that summer's here? Emily, you have a lot going on.
Yeah, it doesn't really even feel like summer to me, honestly, because right now my three favorite words are after the wedding. If I'm thinking about doing something or taking on something new, it's after the wedding because we are planning my daughter's wedding for the first part of July. And so that is what we've been doing, is just spending time with those details, getting those details all figured out, and then just intentionally spending time together because when your daughter gets married, she moves out permanently. So all the emotions that come up with that as well. But so far it's been really good. It's just been a really sweet time for our family. It just doesn't feel like a relaxing summer vibe yet. And I think that once the wedding is over, we'll embrace a little more of that laid back summer vibe.
I agree. I don't feel like, it's honestly only been the three H's. I don't even know if a handful of times is too many. Like it just started to get warm around here. So it hasn't really felt like summer. So I agree with Emily, not for the same reasons, but and in where I live, school is still in session. So we're still moving into summer slowly. I did go in the pool for the first time today. We opened the pool like a month ago, and it's been so cold that no one's even been in it.
Your school year goes a lot longer than ours does here.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was going to ask. It's like a regular school season, or is it like summer school session?
Nope, regular school year. Some high schools will have graduation this coming weekend, which will be the third weekend in June. And then others will have it the very last weekend in June.
Wow, that is
Wow.
later
Yep.
than we go here.
Same.
And I know, Lisa, you and I have been a little under the weather the past few days. So that kind of ties into our podcast topic today. We are talking about intentional rest and or laziness. So I have a little question for you girls. If you had an entire weekend with zero responsibilities, no one to take care of, and a guilt-free pass to do anything you wanted, how would you spend your weekend? Lisa, how would you spend your weekend?
I have more questions. Is this at my house, or do I get to choose the location?
You can choose.
Okay. Because if I had I love the part of the question that says guilt-free pass. This girl needs to hear that for all the wrong reasons. I'll admit that. But a guilt-free pass is going to work better for me if I am not at home, because when I'm at home, I see too much. I see that long list of things to do. So I would love to have a guilt-free pass with zero responsibilities, someplace by a body of water, which would look like probably some reading. Honestly, when we were on vacation a couple of weeks ago, like I found myself just being, literally just sit, like we were by the ocean. So I would sit and kind of like that mesmerizing thing, like when you look at a fire and it just is just mesmerizing. Like I just stared at the ocean for really long lengths of time. And I don't remember doing that in the past, like intentionally just sitting, not scrolling on my phone, not reading the book, just being. So I would love a guilt free pass. You have my address, you know where to send it.
I love that you said that, Lisa. The whole idea of being just sitting, just being. And when the question had the words zero responsibilities and no one to take care of, I thought, yes, sign me up. And so I just imagined, without the additional clarification, looking into the question too much, having a day at home where I get up when I just naturally wake up. So that includes the dog not waking me up and wanting to eat at the time he wants to eat, not thinking about preparing food for anybody, not thinking about what's next. Do I have to thaw food for later? Just like all of the to dos that are always on my brain or on my list. So I would not look at my to do list. I would probably not even look at my phone. I would just let the day organically unfold the way that it wants to. So that may be reading a book. If it's a nice day, we go for a walk or we sit outside. And like you said, just being present. And for me, that includes turning off all of the other distractions. Like I said, the phone, and purposely not looking at the to do list and knowing that no one's going to ask me for anything sounds heavenly.
Do you think that you could get to the end of that day and crawl in bed without guilt?
But yeah, you gave me the guilt-free pass. So
Yeah.
like that's part of the deal.
That's
Is I
part
have the
of the deal.
guilt-free pass. So I didn't even think about
Yeah.
that being an issue.
I got
Love
out of
it.
jail free card. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Thank you, Angela. How about you, Angela? What would you do with that
Oh, goodness.
opportunity?
I love exploring new places. So I think for me, it would be going somewhere, either somewhere that I already love. Jim and I have been to Charleston a couple times. It's one of our favorite cities to walk around. Just go explore somewhere, eat what I want to eat without guilt. Guilt free maybe means like no budget. So maybe I could like splurge on something new and explore. I like to explore. I like to see beauty. I like to see new places. So exploring somewhere new would be pretty top on my list if I had an entire weekend. And I would want to bring Jim. It says no one to take care of, but most of the time he doesn't need me to take care of him.
It's pretty low maintenance. Is that what you're telling us?
So, most of the time. Okay, girls, it's so fun to dig into scripture and see what God says about things. And when we're talking about intentional rest and laziness or versus laziness, both of those are found in God's word. God has things to say about rest and he has things to say about laziness. So a few scriptures that I pulled were Genesis 2, God rested on the seventh day. Matthew 11, come to me and I will give you rest. Psalm 23, he makes me lie down in green pastures. He restores my soul, which really makes me want to unpack he makes me, because why does he make me and you lie down? It doesn't say he invites me to lie down in green pastures. It says he makes me. So it kind of where my brain goes with that is that maybe most humans have to be intentional about their rest. That's where
It
I,
makes me think about when we had young kids and you knew a nap was good for them. You make your 2-year-old take a nap because you know if they don't, what's going to happen for the rest of the day. So that just came up for me. It's like our Father knows that we need to rest. We need to be brought to places like quote unquote green pastures in order to recharge. Just like as parents, we know that 2-year-old needs a little nap in the afternoon to recharge and make it through the rest of the day. That just came up for me.
that's so good. And I'm sure Lisa would have things to say about all the lovely smells and green pastures and how healthy all those things are for us, restoring our soul, as it were. So, okay, what does God say about laziness? He's lots in Proverbs, I found. How long will you lie down, O lazy one? When will you arise from your sleep and learn self-discipline? So there we have a contrast, self-discipline versus laziness. Lazy people want much but get little. Those who work hard will prosper. This one I love in Proverbs 26. The lazy person claims, there's a lion on the road. Yes, I'm sure there's a lion out there. Now, I don't know if you guys ever had this with teens at home, but it's kind of like I don't want to work there. That's such a far drive. Or, wait, work third shift? Do I really have to do that? Like when I saw this, there's a lion on the road. I thought of all these excuses that kids come up with to, not do the work. Oh, I have a blister on my hand. I can't rake anymore, whatever it is. And I just thought, yep, that's what we do. That is for sure our human nature. So if I posed this question to you, Lisa, how would you define the difference between intentional rest and laziness?
Well, first of all, as Emily, when she answered your very first question, and she's like, I didn't really read into it as much. I'm like, of course you didn't, because that's what I do. So to answer that question first, I have to tell you the definition of the two. So the definition of lazy is disinclined to activity or exertion, not energetic or vigorous. Rest is obviously sleep. And then peace of mind, freedom. I love that part. Freedom from activity or labor, a state of motionlessness or inactivity. So there's overlapping similarities there. And so to dig into that question a little bit, how would I define the difference between intentional rest and laziness? Intentional rest to me would be much like that definition, giving yourself freedom, quote unquote, or permission to rest, because it's not a reward. Rest is a necessity. Or in my opinion, it's something we need. And laziness to me has that negative connotation with it. So it's more of an attitude. Hence, when you look up the definition, it says adjective. So it's describing something, right? So it's more of the attitude of what you were talking about. Like, oh, I see the lion. Yeah, I don't want to do that. Oh, I have a blister. Oh, yeah, I couldn't possibly rake another leaf in the yard. So I think when you think about the difference between something being intentional and giving yourself that permission for something that is actually needed versus laziness, which is something that you're like, your attitude is more like, I'm gonna just not do that right now. And it could be for a super long extended period of time.
I think too, laziness for me, it brings up the idea of shirking responsibility on purpose. Like the whole idea, like you said, the attitude. I don't really want to, even though it is a responsibility or something that somebody's depending on you for, or you're depending on yourself to get done. I think laziness has that element of shirking responsibility. I think earlier you said something about self-discipline in one of those verses. I think laziness can be an undisciplined approach. And I really think that we need to repeat what you said, Lisa, that rest is not necessarily a reward. I had to learn that.
Me
because
too.
I thought you rest when it's all done. But here's the secret. It's never all done. There's always something else to do as moms, as working moms, as women that have goals and are really working to live life on purpose. The responsibilities are never truly done. And so I just wanted to highlight that again, that rest is not a reward. It's actually a necessity.
I have not, it has been only the last handful of years, maybe plus 6-7 years that I've learned that. So I'm right there with you, Emily, on that. Angela, just out of curiosity, how has your view changed on this topic as we have entered our magical midlife? And
So,
you are more empty nest than we are. So how has that changed for you?
yeah, so my natural tendency is to push through. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going until you're so tired you fall into bed and then you get up the next day and do it again. I remember everyone giving me the advice when my first baby was born, sleep when the baby sleeps. And the
What?
minute they left, I thought, this is when we get stuff done, girls. Like when the baby is
Yes.
sleeping, this is when we get stuff done. And so, I was always tired. Of course I was, because baby didn't sleep at night either. So I wasn't getting my sleep at night. So how has it changed since I entered empty nest? I have the freedom now to take a quiet time every morning, which I was not as intentional with when my kids were younger. And I would say that my quiet time goes from intentional time and can linger into lazy time. And because I have the open-ended freedom to sit in my prayer chair for 3 hours if I want to, when I get to my third bathroom break during quiet time, I know I should probably be done because I've been sitting too long. But Jim and I are intentional about connecting with every day when he gets home. We sit down, we play 4 hands of cards every night when he gets home from work. And so we are more intentional than we were even able to be when the kids were home. I mean, when the kids were home, we were going and doing all the time. So I think it's not necessarily my view of rest. I do actually see the importance of rest more than I used to. And that might just be my body going, hello, we're 55 now. It's time to sit down for a while, So I'm sure age plays a part in that, but I do have the freedom to rest more. But I've never been a person who leans on the side of lazy and has to motivate myself to work. I am more the other way. And I think you girls are both. I think we're in agreement that that is our natural bent.
Can I just say it's the cutest and sweetest thing ever that you and Jim play 4 hands of cards every night before you sit down to dinner. When I learned that about you, I was like, that is the most adorable thing I think I've ever heard. And not only is it productive rest for both of you, but it's a time of connection. And so very inspiring.
I'm having a good week too. I'm up.
I was
in the
just going to say,
scorecard.
I'm going to point out to the listeners, listen, this is not just, let's just sit down and play a few hands of cards. This is competitive. They keep score.
We
There's
do.
a running tally.
And Jim says Angela is one of the luckiest people ever. Like she
Yeah.
always is winning. She
I-
wins all the time.
I keep telling them, take me to Vegas, baby. I'm a lucky lady. Okay, let's talk about so this is great, Lisa, that you just brought this up. What comes up for you when I talk about rest? How does the world define rest? Some people talk about self-care. What kinds of things do you do to have self-care? And also, how does that differ from, like you were saying, just being, which gives me more of an impression of biblical rest, like restoring your soul, your mind, will, and emotion?
Well, like I said, because burnout was a thing for me, not so distant past, I still, as you pointed out, we all tend to kind of lean a little bit towards the go, 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 right? That like all the little sayings, the hustle culture, what do they say? Like what's the reward of hard work? More hard work. Like that's, but I think we're all kind of geared that way. So being more intentional with rest has really been more like a reset almost on allowing myself to not just rest as in the definition of restore and sleep and things like that, but to really, on all the levels, on all the wellness levels, to spiritually reset, to physically reset. I mean, even if you hit the gym hard, like you still have to give yourself a reset. Like you can't go, go, go. And same with emotional, mental, like I feel like it's more like a reset, an intentional reset.
Yeah, and God knew we would need that, right? Like when he made the world, he made it in 6 days and rested on the seventh. So that whole idea of Sabbath rest, which I love that we're having this conversation because I want to revisit that. I think there's so much value in how it is actually spelled out. Like, not that we want to go back to exactly how they did it, but I think there's a lot of good elements there that we can apply to our everyday life. Sabbath rest was you got done with all of the preparations for Sabbath before sundown. And then from sundown until that next day, of sundown, like 24 hours, you did no work. You had prepared everything ahead of time. And you were asking Angela how biblical rest differs from what the world says about rest. And I would say, nowadays in 2025, I think people can see rest as let's go on a vacation, let's escape from our everyday life, let's go be self indulgent and spend a lot of money and go to the spa and like very, I guess, entertaining, spending a lot of money, and not to say that any of those things are bad or wrong, but when we're talking about rest, like you were saying, Lisa, the reset, God gives us a whole lot of information and a great model for what that's supposed to look like, knowing that we need that at a soul level.
That is so true. We do need that. And I think rest, we have mental rest, we have physical rest, we have spiritual rest, emotional rest, and calming our minds so that anxiety doesn't come up. I mean, we're all connected, right? So putting our minds at rest will ease tension in our bodies too. I know this one's going to land with you girls. Have you ever felt guilty for resting?
Absolutely. That's why I was so excited you're giving me a guilt-free pass on my 24 hours of doing what I wanted to do. I learned something last year just in a new way. So I was getting some coaching myself, and the coach challenged me on the fact that I'm very much a caretaker. That's just in my nature. I've been doing it for a long time, being a stay-at-home mom, being a homeschooling mom, doing a lot of the house responsibilities because my husband does work outside of the home. And he challenged me on my definition of rest. And he said, I think someone like you that is always taking care of the things and always taking care of the people, you need to challenge yourself to rest to the point of laziness. That's where you're going to find your rest. And of course, everything in me was like, I can't be lazy. Like, you're telling me to be lazy on purpose? What are you saying? But I got his point. He's like, you're not resting. You think you're resting well, but you're actually not. You're still on, right? I've got the on button still cranked up while I'm saying I'm resting, I'm taking time off or taking time to just reset. And so I learned that rest actually can be productive because I think if I'm not doing something, I'm not being productive. And so that helped me to see no, actually, rest is sometimes the most productive thing that I can do. So that when I get back to taking care of all the things and all the people, first I'll see that they were just fine without me taking care of them, right? All the time. And I'll be a much happier and more equipped mom, wife, friend.
So do you schedule in time of rest, Emily?
So I do like to have my quiet time in the morning too, where I do my Bible reading and praying. That really helps me to set up well for the day. I think I have mentioned to both of you before. I'm not sure if I've mentioned on the podcast, but I am kind of an expert power napper. I can lay down in the middle of the afternoon, not set an alarm, and wake up 15 or 20 minutes later, and I am ready to go. And so I've allowed myself to take a little power nap if I'm feeling sluggish. And I think the bigger concept is just that I've given myself permission to pay attention to some of those signs that I am reaching burnout or I am reaching a state of tiredness that I know is not healthy for me in any of the ways you mentioned, physically, emotionally. And so I just might sit and reflect. And it doesn't have to be for a long time, but just being more aware of it and honoring that instead of pushing through.
It brings me back to He makes me. If we're in tune with our bodies and listening to what our bodies are saying, it's time to sit down, it's time for a nap, it's time to take a walk, even can be, restful. Yeah, your body will tell you when it's time, for sure. That's a good thing. Stay aware. Don't just keep saying, I can power through, which is all of our natural tendencies. Okay, Lisa, I have one for you. I have a little question here for you. What are some warning signs that rest has turned into avoidance or procrastination?
When you've been sitting in your prayer chair for so long that you have to go to the bathroom 3 times.
You are not wrong. That's good.
Oh, okay. That's probably not the answer you were
Yeah, I know. I love it. You are so right.
I'm working on my listening skills. Warning signs that quote unquote rest or avoidance has turned into procrastination. To me, it's like a feeling of it, like Eeyore-ish almost. Like it's that. So a sound effect is coming to mind. It's that feeling of wah wah. Like it's moved from restorative rest to a lack of effort. So but you can feel it in your body. Like you're like, I don't want to get off of the couch right now. And then, as we talk about from coaching, right? Your brain is going to look for every little piece of evidence to tell you you should stay right here. And here's all the reasons why you should stay right where you are. So to me, it's more of a feeling that, okay, so my body physically, mentally, spiritually, all the things you were mentioning feels like I've given it a pause, right? You've hit the pause button. However, you can't camp there. We're not going to set up camp, because then I do believe it can lead towards other things that could be kind of detrimental also. Just like too much go, go, go can be detrimental to ourselves, too much quote unquote laziness or lack of effort also isn't the best for our mental health, our physical health, or spiritual health. And someone help me out with an adjective here that's not wah wah.
That's perfect. Actually, that was what was in my head before you said it. So that's what I thought too. And I think too, for me, buffering starts to come into play. So I may have, laid down with my white noise on my app, done my little, power nap, 15 minutes, and go and turn off the white noise, and then maybe check some messages. And then it's just so comfortable laying there that before I know it, I'm scrolling, or I'm playing, another game on my Scrabble app, or whatever it is. For me, buffering comes into play. That's when I realize, for me personally, laziness has set in, because I'm just avoiding getting up to do the next thing. Again, not to say that playing those games or scrolling for a short amount of time is wrong or bad. I just know for me, that's a warning sign for me that laziness has started to creep in a little bit.
How about you, Angela?
Well, you called me out on that already. And I'm very intentional about sitting down at the table to eat my lunch. And one of my goals was to stay off my phone when I sit down at lunch and read more. Well, if I'm enjoying what I'm reading, I'm not setting a timer when I sit down for lunch. And I know there are very scheduled people who do that, but I don't. And I can, I think I'll finish lunch with a cup of tea, or I can really kind of extend that when I know in the back of my head it's time to get up and be doing something else, and I'm avoiding it.
Right.
Because, working on working on Canva, which I don't even want to talk about. I will avoid that for a long time. while I'm reading a book and drinking tea. So, yes, there are things that I am avoiding when I'm sitting longer and lingering. So, on the other end of the spectrum, when we are overdoing it, pushing ourselves too hard, in what ways does your body say, it's time? Emily, you already said you're a great power napper. So you feel that nap time coming. It's time to rest for a little bit. What other ways can you girls think of that where your body would say, hello, it's time for me to rest?
I think just muscle aches and pains too. Like if I'm working too long on my feet, or if I'm in the kitchen preparing, all the things at the counter, doing the dishes, I will feel the tension in my neck and my shoulders. If I try and jam too many errands in one day, trying to get all the things done, if I don't have enough margin in my day, if I don't have enough white space even in my week, white space being not needing to absolutely be somewhere at a specific time, not having every minute planned. I become short with other people in my responses. I become, just a little more cranky, a version of myself that I don't necessarily appreciate. And I know other people don't appreciate it either. So those are some ways that my body signals to me that just put your feet up for a few minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say irritability for sure for me. And even just saying out loud, I'm really tired. It's not a good time to have this conversation, or just setting that boundary of understanding, being aware of what's going on and why I'm feeling irritable, and saying now is not a good time to do that has been helpful to me. Is one that I will feel when, especially like we talked about mental rest, where my mind is spinning and then I can feel all the tightness in my chest.
Yes.
Like,
Same.
okay, it's time to calm those thoughts down because I'm feeling it in my body now. How about you, Lisa?
So I'm just curious as I answer this question, if the two of you could answer the question the way you answered the question today, could you have answered that question 20 years ago? Could you have answered that question? Well, of course you could answer the question, but would it have been the same? Like, I think it takes not just intentional rest, but it takes intentionality. Is that a word? It takes intention to pay attention. Like you asked, like, what are some signs that you need to hit that pause button and take a break? If I am being totally honest, was not aware of those signs when I was like we all said earlier, like go, 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 push harder, do more, like get it done. I was not in the place I am now to even ask the question, push harder and I'll get there. Well, where's there? And what am I going to do when I get there? Did I plan for it? Is it like that wasn't on my radar back then? So I want just to say to our listeners that if it's sounding easy for three women in midlife to be like, oh, hey, listen to your bodies, it isn't. You know what I mean? Like our bodies will definitely tell us, right? Like I think
Yes.
all of us have either read the book or have it on our bedside table to read. Like the body keeps score of everything. So like you said, Emily, body aches, headaches. If you don't make time for yourself, your body's going to serve it up for you. Now, I'm not saying that because I wasn't feeling well the last couple of days that it had anything to do with the fact that I wasn't being intentional with rest. But you both know from our Marcos how awful my back was also feeling recently. Well, let me tell you what, 2 days of resting, like actual resting, because I was forced to, has made my back feel better. Because before I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll just do less. I won't push as hard. So I think it's important to just remember, even at younger ages than our magical midlife selves here, to really pay attention to what all the different facets of our body is trying to tell us.
Yeah,
It's so
that's
good.
such a good point. And I don't know if you both can resonate with this or not, but I think back, like you said, 20 years ago, raising young kids, right? Just in the thick of even raising children, I compared myself a lot to what other young moms were doing. I thought, oh, well, they can get all of this done. And look, they're taking their kids all of these places and all of the things they were doing. I felt like I needed to keep up, right? And so that whole comparison piece was huge for me at that time. And now at 47, I'm not saying I don't care, but I kind of don't care what other people are doing because I've learned to honor like what's good for somebody else may not be good for me. And I didn't know how to identify that back then. What
Right.
works for someone else could get up every morning before their kids even wake up and go run a K and be back making breakfast and as chipper as they can be. I know that is not me. And I'm okay now saying that's not me. And that's awesome that that's somebody else. But just being aware of the comparison piece, because I know that for me, that wasn't a reason that I did push myself in ways when I did think I need to do all of this. I can't rest. I can't slow down because it looked like nobody else was. So just honoring you as an individual person. What do you need? What does that look like?
And I think if I was to give advice to my younger self or a mom who still has young kids at home, for me, what I've learned through coaching is that when I was younger, I thought my circumstances are making me feel overwhelmed. Like I had no agency over it, or my kids are giving me anxiety and I have no control over that. They're driving me crazy, whatever it is. And now I know that I do have the power to take my thoughts captive. I'm the one causing that anxiety, that overwhelm, that exhaustion. I'm the one responsible for it. And even you can have a very busy life, a very busy family, a busy day, and walk through that day with a restful spirit, with a restful mind, keeping your body in a place of rest, even if you're moving from place to place and doing a lot. So there are definitely ways that you can do that. And sometimes just when the kids are little, it's kind of the mom joke, but go in the bathroom and shut the door for a few minutes. Part of the guilt is don't feel guilty if you have to put on a show for your kids for 20 minutes and go in the other room and just take a few deep breaths, or, just lay down on the bed, stretch out your body for a little while, rub some oils on, right, Lisa? Just
Right.
get yourself to a place of calm and take that break, and everyone will be better for it, not just you. So do you have any advice for young moms?
I was just going to tag on to what you said, Angela. That is modeling then how mom knows how to rest. It's modeling that for your kids. Instead of them seeing you maybe a super mom, they see that you're a human too and that you sometimes need to rest too. And to model what that looks like without it being laziness, I think is a huge gift that you can give to your kids.
What is coming up for me right now is my father used to come and spend several weeks with us when my kids were little, and just to spend time with his grandkids. And more than once, he let my husband and I know that he felt like our lives were very robotic. Those were the exact words he used. And in our 30s, my husband and I kind of took offense to that. Like, robotic? What? Well, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Who's going to get all this stuff done if we don't get it done? Like, we have to make the lunches and do that. Like, the list is endless, right? Okay. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, I didn't see it at the time. And now here I am 25 years later, and I get it now. So I think you're right, Emily, to be that mirror image for the people that you love and you're raising. And it's okay if you're not being robotic and getting all the things done, and you decide, you know what, we're going to not do all these things today, and we're just going to have a fun day in the backyard, or we're going to go draw in the driveway with chalk, or whatever it is. It'll get done, but that pressure instead of peace will likely feel worse when you lay down your piece.
That resonates so much with me, Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I could go
Yeah.
back, there would be so many things I would say, no,
Mhm.
the kids come first before the
Yeah.
floor
And
gets
to have
mopped or
that
whatever. Yeah.
presence. Yeah. To have just like that real presence with them.
Yeah.
Because I think about what my father said and I'm like, okay, I mean, so here's just mom and dad doing all the things, checking all the boxes. And nowadays with technology the way it is, like how easy is it to just put all of the toys today? I feel like for littles all have some kind of bell and whistle and button, and like you like if you gave them just blocks, sometimes kids are like, well, what does it do? Well,
Mm.
you have to do the thing. But they need, like Emily said, they need a mentor. They need someone to do
Yeah.
that with them.
And that
So,
quiet time for that creativity to be sparked. That's what I wrote down as I was preparing for our episode today. When I rest, that's when a lot of creative ideas come up for me
mhm,
because all of the responsibilities and the to-dos and the checklists, I've hopefully managed to quiet them down. And so that's where that reflection and that those new ideas start to come in. And
right.
so, yeah, that's a beautiful illustration. This is why they have recess in schools and why it's so important, I think, to let the kids go out and run around, right? You have to have that break. You have to have scheduled time to rest, to
I think
play.
that's why every time Jim gets out of the shower, he's like, I just had the best idea. It's like, oh, surprise, you're not on your phone, right?
Yeah.
I
A
love
little
it.
decompression too
The
from
creativity
his
is
day.
popping.
Yeah.
So
I think
good.
I think that it's a common thread too with really successful people, right? They do schedule in that. What did you call it, Emily? White space? Like what
The
they
Just
margin.
margin or
yeah,
white
like
space.
they are very intentional with their not go 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 go.
Yeah, that's how we were
Yeah.
made.
Yeah. Creativity happens there. Productivity happens there.
Absolutely.
Great, great conversation. I feel like we could just keep going on this. And maybe that we'll have a part two talking about, especially with the raising kids. We need to dive into that a little bit. But I have homework for our listeners today. I would like them to use this journal prompt. What is one area in your life where you need to give yourself permission to rest? So I would love it if you would write that down in your journal and explore that in your own life and come back and send us a message and tell us what came up for you when you do that. And as always, we're just so grateful that you are our listeners. If you're ready to take this deeper, we'd love to walk alongside you. As life coaches, we help women rediscover purpose, rebuild healthy rhythms, and live from a place of rest, not burnout. So follow us on Instagram at the Life Coach Lounge, and you can look in the show notes for all of our links. Send us a DM anytime. We love, love, love hearing from you. And if you enjoyed this episode, please take a minute to review it and share it with a friend who needs to hear it. We're cheering you on. We're here for you. Give yourself grace. And girls, I'll talk to you in the Marcos.